a really simplified way, I hope. That's my goal of teaching you Photoshop. But the first thing I want to tell you from the very beginning is that I'm here to help. Like, I realize that sometimes the way that I communicate things and even show you things, and your screen may look a little different, any of that kind of stuff. The best way to help me help you is to join the Facebook group and then to post in there, because probably if you're seeing something, maybe someone else is seeing it, or if you didn't understand it, someone else probably isn't understanding it. So, but just know that I'm here to help you however I can. Like, that is my goal. I want you to feel like, you've gotten your values worth. You'll see that there are 6 lessons. They kind of all build on each other, so it's really important that you do them in order. And after each one, I'm going to have you post what you've learned. This first one is going to be super simple. There's not going to be a lot to it, but I did want to just kind of start at the very beginning, because the Photoshop lingo, once you've learned it, it is different. It's different than a Microsoft or even Apple. I mean, the tools and the lingo that we use is so much different than what anything else does, and I think that's what sometimes overwhelms people. Photoshop is a very, very comprehensive program. Like, we are going to even just touch the tip of the iceberg, but what I will show you is everything, for the most part, that I do on a daily basis with my pictures. So once you learn these things, you will, too, will be able to do those things. Just remember that we do everything in moderation. Like, the best thing to do is to do slow, small, micro changes, layers upon layers, and we'll talk about that. But it doesn't do you any good to go in and make one big humongous change. We want to do them small, because that really will make your image look natural, and that's what we want to do. Let's see. It's just another few things. Just remember that this class is for you. You paid for it. Please don't share it. I can see who sees it and that kind of thing. So this class is just for you. Again, I'm sorry, I'm doing this at my home and my dogs are out. So if you hear a dog, like they are right now, that's in the background. If you are working in Elements and Photoshop are going to use the same language and the same tools. Right here, you'll see it's the same. It just may be laid out a little bit different. If you're having trouble finding those things and you can't find it, let me know and I will direct you and help you. I'm working in Photoshop right now. Adobe is offering 2 free months for anybody who wants to use Photoshop. Once you learn in Photoshop, you can easily go to Elements. So I'll just throw that out there. All right, so we're going to just kind of go from the beginning. I'm going to not save these, and that's my screen. I'm going to go into Photoshop, open it up, and usually you'll either have nothing here, you'll be able to open or create a new project. For this purposes, we're going to just open, okay? So I'm going to open up Photoshop, and it will ask me to pick an image. So we're going to start with one, and we're just going to go ahead and do that right now. And there we go. And this is my Photoshop screen. Okay, so one of the things that you need to know in Photoshop is that there are multiple ways of doing things, always. You can do things through a shortcut, or you can do things the long way, but it really is whatever you feel is best. And usually there are 2 to 3 ways to accomplish the same thing. I'm going to show you my way, but I'm also going to show you where you can find other things as we go. But just know that, if you take this class and then decide you want to look a little bit more into something and you YouTube it, there will be multiple ways that people can show you how to do certain things. All right. So up here, we're going to just get started with your screen. Up here are all your directional things. So if, I'm going to, a file, I want to open a file. I'm going to come down, I'm going to go in. Claire, there you are. Claire's taking this class. And I'm going to show you multiple ways that we can fix this image. You look great, Claire. If I want to, close it, I'm just going to X out of it. Okay? So pretty easy. You can see that you're going to save as if you need to. For the most part, those are the three things. If you need to print straight from Photoshop, you can. But these are your different directionals, okay? They're up here. And it wouldn't hurt you to kind of go over them and kind of see. What I want you to see, like layers, okay? We're also going to work in layers down here. This is our layers tool. So I can work at it here or I can work at it here. And you see that? All right. So what I want to first do is to come into your window and to arrange your screen however you want. I will say that for the workspace, you want to choose photography and essentials. And those are the two things that you want to have clicked. Okay, so you go into window and you go into workspace and you click essentials and photography. That's what I do. There are other things that you can click on there. Your toolbar should be here. This is really important. We use this all the time. If you want to minimize it, you can always click on that so that you have a bigger screen to work on. Those little carrots up there, and then you can expand it. If you, we're in swatches and I don't need swatches, I can move that away and click it. So the way I do that is by clicking on that select tool right here, the move tool. And I can do, so, I'm going to move these because I don't need the color, but I do want to make sure that history is there and actions. And then I want to make sure that layers. So you're going to do that by coming over to your windows, and we're going to make sure that actions is checked, layers, and then also history, which it is right there. And those are the three things. Okay, so when you come up to your window screen, just make sure that those are there. The other ones that you might at some point use is character, if you were to ever want to type on top of an image like that. Okay. So that would be only if you need it for any desktop publishing or something. And you can get rid of that, but that's where you will add the different things that you might need. For right now, you want history, layers, and you don't even need actions. I'll explain actions later, but I think that's all that we need for right now are those. Okay. I'm just showing you. Okay, so then you're going to come over here. This is your toolbar. We are going to use just about everything on that toolbar by the end of this class. But for now, what I want you to learn is first the magnifying, which is the magnifying glass, and this is how you zoom in. So I can zoom in on a kid's eyes, and you see like right there. At some point, you're going to learn how to come in and get rid of that, you see? And down here, Okay, so zooming in is really, really helpful. And then zooming out to see the whole thing is great. And I do that often. The next thing I want you to do is to open up two images. So I want you to play with the zoom, and then I want you to go ahead and have two images opened up. All right, so now you see I have two images, one on top of the other. Do you see how I dragged that? Okay, so this is your move tool right here. What that means is that once you pull on something, you can drag it down, or I can drag it on top. And then I can also make it bigger or smaller by pulling on the corners. Okay, so, and I just deleted it. So what I want you to do is to open up two images. Like this. Go into File, Open, and see how you can float between the two images, which is important. Like that. And then using your Select tool, you're going to click on that, and all I'm going to do is click and pull down, and that way I can move the image on top of each other if I wanted to. Okay, this doesn't seem important now, but at some point I promise you it will be. So, and then I can come down, whoops, sorry, and then I can come down and I can move it in. Sorry about my dog, she shouldn't be barking. So there you go. So we move in between the two images. Great. Okay, practice that. I want you to practice that, opening up an image, pulling it up. The other thing that I want you to see up here is that you can arrange this differently. I arrange it like this so that I consolidate all my tabs, but you can do it in a tile. You can do it, you can see, you go up to arrange and you can do it two. Some people want to do it vertically. And the reason that this sometimes helps is if you're working with two images from the same thing, the same location, that sometimes it helps to see what you've done on each one. But I like mine. I personally have always done it with the cascading, and I don't know why. It's the way I prefer it, so that's how it'll be in mine. Okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the crop mode. And you see when you can hover over these, it will kind of show you what each part does, each tool does. And also when you right click on it, most of them will have multiple options. So like if I right click on the marquee tool, which is this one with the dotted lines, you can see how I have several. This will become very important with the brush tool, with the burn, dodge, and sponge tool, this one. So just learn that you can right click in order to get those little carrots down. And then if you want to know what it does, you can hover over it, and you see how it shows you. Yeah. So that's just a little bit of information, and it's good. So now what I want you to do is to go to the crop, and you're going to click on the crop tool. Okay. You can pull in your crop by the corners. You see how I did that? So just practice that, dropping. Also know that over here you can put in your own ratios. So I do a lot of 5x7, so I put in the 5x7. If I wanted it portrait, I just click those double arrows and it'll flip it. So you need to practice that. You see how that does that? Yep. Okay. If I don't like it, I hit the caution sign. If I like it, like say I like it, and I'm just moving it around on my image, then I hit the check sign. Okay. So you can also come in and you can do your own ratio too. So you can come in and you can change your own, like a custom. And that's where you would do that there. So say I needed on this, say I wanted to make this for a Facebook banner and I needed it longer and squattier. So I did like a 7 by 4. Okay. And then I can still drop and crop as I need to. And the way that I do that is I check it and I like it. Okay. The other thing that I'm going to show you on another image that you can do with, and I go back to my select tool to kind of clear my toolbars with the crop, is you see this horizon line? I want to straighten it. So I'm going to hit my crop tool and I'm going to use the lines, the grids, to straighten the image. And then I'm going to hit OK. Did you see how I did that? We'll do that again. Really quickly, I want you to come over and look at the history. Click on your history. And down here where there's a little camera, I'm going to click snapshot. Okay. What that does is it snapshots right where we are. You want to get used to using that in between each step, snapshot. Okay. And I'll go into more detail, but I just want to show you where that is. So say I come here and I'm going to crop, but yet now I want it to be a 5 by 7. And you see how I'm using right here? I can turn it, and that is how I'm using to crop the image. And then I hit crop, and I mean the check mark. Okay? So, and then I'm going to hit the snapshot. Now watch what the snapshot does. If I go from the top, then I go to the last one and there. So it just kind of freezes in time where you were. And the real important thing is that once we get going, it'll freeze all the work you've done. So it's a way of saving midterm what you're doing. And so that's really important. Okay, so that's how we do everything. That's your screen. This will all make more sense as we start using it, but I just wanted you to kind of get a handle on it, and so that you can play with that. What I would love for you to do is, as soon as you can, is to crop an image for me and post the original image and the cropped image on the Facebook page so that I can see that you've done that. All right. Thanks, everybody.